Hello everyone, I am Suchibrata and you are watching SciTalk. Today, the guest we have is a very special one because she is a double doctor. Yes, she is a doctor. Kind of confusing, but she is an MBBS and MD and also a PhD. It's a great combination but needs many years of hard work. I am talking about Dr. Karishma Kaushik from Pune University. Here we welcome Dr. Karishma Kaushik. Hi.
Hi, Suchibrata, and hello to the Science Media Center team. And thank you for calling me. Wonderful to be here.
Last time we spoke, you said you like Indian outfits, and I am all in Indian outfits today, just to match, your vibe. Yeah.
Thank you, Suchibrata. I'm also in Indian.
Okay, good. Yeah. So you are an Ramalingaswamy re-entry fellow, right?
Yes.
So can you tell us, our viewers, what this fellowship is and who can apply for it and what are the qualifications needed to apply for it?
Yes, excellent. So I think I described this as India's wonderful initiative to reverse our brain drain into a brain circulation. So Ramalinga Swami Re-Entry Fellows are those who have spent a significant amount of time out of India and are choosing to return to India. And the fellowship is kind of a startup opportunity to facilitate this transition back. I think the exact specifications are 3 years outside of India or something to that effect. But what it does is give people who have been out of the ecosystem for a very long time a path forward to come back and set up their research, set up their independent academic careers, and then slowly integrate back into the Indian system. So I applied for this fellowship 2017. I returned to India in 2018. In fact, I applied when I was in the US.
Okay.
I knew nothing and no one here. Like you correctly said, I left India as a doctor. I came back to India as a
Yeah.
scientist. So
Yeah.
a lot happened in those 10 years in the US. This is
Okay.
an excellent opportunity. Yes.
So how many years you were there in US?
Almost 10 years. 10 years. I did
Okay.
my
Okay.
PhD there and then I worked there also as an assistant
Okay.
professor of teaching for about 3 years. And then as a family, we took the decision to come back to India. And
Okay.
I can definitely say that it was the Ramalinga Swami Fellowship that made it possible. It would have been a very different ball game to come back without that independent funding.
Yes, yes. So this funding is for 5 years.
Yes, it's a 5 year program.
Okay.
It funds my salary as well as it funds my research.
Okay. So what happens after 5 years?
So this is a good question. I'm midway through it, so I should be starting to think about it. Uh,
Yeah.
a few things can happen. You can integrate into your host institute. They offer you a position that is funded through them. You can apply for other fellowships like the Wellcome Trust India Alliance. So there are lots of opportunities to take forward.
So your family means who are there? You,
So
your husband?
we are a very small group. We are the trio,
Okay.
my husband and my son. My son is
Okay.
9
Okay.
years old and
Okay.
he is a PhD baby. I had him in the second year of my PhD, really. So
Oh,
I only know
wow.
how to do a PhD with a child. Don't ask me
Okay.
about how to
Okay.
do a PhD if you don't have a child. That's the joke
Yeah.
that I tell people. And
Okay.
my
Okay.
husband is
Okay.
a software engineer. So he
Okay.
was actually out of India for 16 years, but he has been
Oh.
extremely motivated and steadfast in his commitment to wanting to come back.
So
So
he
kind
had
of
also to change his job, right?
yes, most certainly
Yeah.
change his job, and we worked together to set up our establishment when we came back, and now he is
Okay.
happy to be working for an Indian company.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
it's a
Okay.
huge personal and professional transition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why did you decide to come back? You were working as a faculty or assistant professor in University of Texas, Austin, right? It was a good position and many dreams about, doing that work. So why did you decide?
So there, two things. I think on the personal front, like I mentioned, my family, my husband was very committed to come back. It is actually
Okay.
something we spoke of even before we got married. So
Okay.
after
Okay.
12 years of marriage, it was a little difficult for me to go back on that. That's just the humor we
Okay.
shared. But on another note, I felt as a physician scientist, my education and expertise was needed in India much more than it was in the US. So
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
one thing about I felt very strongly about contributing to the ecosystem in India. I had no qualms about that it's going to be easy. I knew I wanted to do it. I didn't think it was going to be easy. So it was one is that professional commitment was also there. So I think in my case it became a situation where the personal commitment and professional commitment was there. We are both very connected to India. So whenever fellow colleagues who are abroad talk to me about returning, I don't think coming back to India is the only way to contribute to Indian ecosystem. You can even do it when you're in the US, but many things have to fit for one to be able to make that huge leap back. You know,
Yeah.
I often say that going to the US was a big decision, but coming back was an even bigger decision.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So your lab name is Infection in a Chip.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
a very interesting name. So like kind of very creative. So why did you decide this kind of name? Like it's
So
related to your
it
work?
stems from our work, you know. We want to
Okay.
build infection states that are so relevant, but yet on a in a lab. So
Okay.
we don't want to necessarily test on humans and certainly not on animals. So that's why it's infection on a chip in the lab, you know, or infection in a dish.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are a very active person in outreach as well. Recently, congratulations by the way, you have received the outreach grant from
Yes,
India
yes.
Bioscience.
Thank you.
This is for the program Talk to a Scientist.
Yes.
Can you tell us about the program a little bit?
Yes, sure. So, well, I can only say when the pandemic happens, we all have had to learn and find alternative options. So it was in March this year that I told Snehal, who works in our group, that you know in the summer I'm not going to be teaching. So let's go to different schools in Pune and just talk science. So I've always wanted to build an outreach platform for the lab. It stems from my belief that scientists have much more to contribute than only science and research, and we have this national responsibility to bring science to society. After all, if nothing else, we are funded on taxpayers' money. So
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
start
yeah.
from there, right? So we
I
said, okay,
agree with you in this. Totally,
thank you,
totally.
thank you. So I said we can't just be stuck in these ivory towers and silos. I mean, what about the school next to the University of Pune? How much science do they
Yes.
know there? What about any other setup in the community? Then, of course, Suchibrata, the pandemic struck, and we couldn't even get out of the house. Forget about going to lab. Forget about going to
Yeah.
schools. And one day I was just thinking that, wow, yeah, looks like this chance has gone. You know, in the summer we wanted to do this, and there were lots of these webinars happening. So I thought, can we do a webinar for kids? Will kids show up? Will kids understand? Will they enjoy the platform? Will parents support this? Will the community respond? And I floated this idea with Snehal. And she said, you know, let's try it. So I told her, hey, I have an idea. She's like, I'm game. I was like, wait, first hear the idea. First, let me tell you the idea.
Okay.
So then we said, okay, let's do our first webinar Monday at 5 to 6 p.m. And let's do it on COVID-19 for children. So we prepared PowerPoint slides, both of us, and we fixed up a Zoom meeting and everything. We thought there'll be 5 kids showing up. And I was actually counting on my son, saying, you better show up and bring 1 or 2 friends of yours. Okay? Kuch nahi to at least tum log 4 jan hone chahiye wahan pe. We had about 70
Yeah.
children show up.
Fixed audience.
Pardon?
Fixed audience, I'm
Fixed
saying.
audience. Like I fixed the audience. Yeah. And I'm like, ask easy questions.
Yeah.
Then anyway, so we had 70 children show up all across India. And they asked us at the end of the session, when is the
Wow.
next session? And we had no plan for the next session. So I told Snehal, I think there has to be a next session now. So then it became next week, next session, and next week, next session. And slowly it just grew. It grew like this. And the same children showed up, they shared it with their friends. Parents were very excited about it. Then I heard about the India Bioscience Outreach Grant. So we applied for it. And now we actually have funding to make it a formal platform where we include guest scientists. Because see, anything sustainable means it can't just be me and Snehal showing up every week. Plus, we can only talk about so many topics, right? Like, I can't talk about every science topic under the sun. So by getting guest scientists, many things get achieved. One thing is there is a diversity of topics. The children meet more scientists in India. And I think the biggest goal of this is to build pride in Indian science, to build Indian science role models. You know, let our models, let our pride not be Western driven. We have so many scientists who are doing good work in India. And so that's how it took off.
So what is the future goal of Talk to a Scientist? What kind of platform you want to make? Yeah.
So for 1 year, we are funded on India Bioscience. So now we just
Yeah.
want to grow it to a little more self-sustaining, where we are not involved in the day-to-day operations. So we
Okay.
have hired an outreach manager who is
Okay.
actually a ICER student. He's a fifth-year student, Sujay
Who is it?
Paranjpe.
Oh, I think I have heard this name
Yes, yes, he
somewhere.
was involved in your caravan promotions or something like
Okay,
that.
maybe yes, yes, yeah, yeah. Okay.
So he is now formally hired on the grant. So,
Mhm.
no, so expansion means social media, reaching out to schools, educators. So that's the stage we are in, including more guest
Okay.
scientists. Eventually, we see it, Suchibrata, as a place where you can match children to scientists. So
Okay.
scientists
Okay.
put in there saying, "I would like to give a talk on this day. This is the topic," and interested children will show up. We
Mhm.
still want to keep it virtual because the accessibility and is huge
Yeah, yeah. That's
through
true.
this. Um, uh, and that's where we see it going, like a self-sustaining, uh, India-specific outreach for children.
I think this COVID-19 situation is a blessing in disguise for this kind of activities, because this is the time people, think people got time to find ideas and think about how to develop online platforms, and they are actually effectively using online platform now. Earlier, people are like, okay, you can go somewhere, make, like you can gather somewhere and 30-40 people will show up. Now you can connect to anyone anywhere in the world. So this is a good opportunity.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And this is what it showed us. This is
Mhm.
what it showed us. Of course, there are some precautions and safety you will take if it's an online
Yeah, yeah,
platform
yeah.
for children, but that you take even in person.
Okay,
But the
okay,
reach
okay.
is very wide. So one thing
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
feel about is, of course, the platform needs children who are in a setup where they have a laptop, they have internet
Yeah.
access, they have a house. So obviously, you can't reach everybody. But then
Mhm.
even outreach doesn't have to be one size fits all, right? Even
Mhm.
that
Yeah, yeah,
you'll
yeah.
have to tailor make it to different settings.
Mhm. Okay, so your website, this is very extensive. I could say if somebody wants to know you, they just have to go to your website. You have written everything on your website about your outreach and your research, your students, you have wonderful photos there. And I saw a very interesting thing on your website, which is you have written the fellowship amounts by the side of your name of fellowship, which many people, they don't do this kind of thing. So I found it very interesting as well as very helpful. So I think this, what you have done on your website is incredible. And why did you think that you should do it?
Thank you, Suchi. Thank you for bringing this up. See, one thing is, all of this is like we said, and thank you for agreeing. It is public money. It is taxpayers' money. There is nothing to hide. We should be more transparent, right? Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
I I feel this is the money I've received from the government, from the public, and I am doing everything I can in my capacity to spend it wisely, to utilize it for science, for all the other work that we do, and I have nothing to hide. My productivity is evident that this is the money I got and this is what I'm doing, and I think we should take this forward. There is nothing to hide. And all the more it puts us also in check when we look at those numbers and say that this is what we received and we have no reason not to deliver.
Mhm. I think since you were 10 years outside India in USA, you can also talk about fellowships and opportunities in USA Indian student can find. So you are talking to children about science. Along with that, I think you can also talk about that. This is kind of,
Yes, 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 I have some idea of the challenges it takes to move there.
so how is your relation with your students?
We try to keep it flat.
Okay.
Okay.
It has helped as much as it has helped a lot, I think, both ways in setting expectations for to start with. Also, early career investigator life is pretty lonely. I always say this,
Okay.
it's pretty lonely. You have suddenly you move from a lab where you were with colleagues to this is your own show, and now your colleagues are your group. So
Okay.
they, to be honest, they know exactly how much funding we have received. Every sanction
Mhm.
order has been shared with them. We have a shared document for expenses. They know
Mhm.
exactly. So they are absolutely involved in every step of the lab.
Okay.
And one thing how we managed to build a larger group is because we've been very open to the community in Pune, for example. Because I mean, we also need people to have accessibility to work in the lab. So we've been hosted students from Garware College, Ferguson College, As well as we have recently worked with a Ayurvedic practitioner with some formulations for wound
Okay.
biofilms. So whenever
Okay.
somebody has
Okay.
contacted us, we have tried to create a way for them to work with us. You know,
Okay.
I don't know if I take on too much, but I hate saying no in an email.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I always say, let me try, let us do something. Even now in the pandemic, so many people approached us. It's not the
Mhm.
right time to get people into the lab. Uh,
Okay.
we are barely getting in and starting work. But at least
Mm.
remotely, bioinformatics projects, writing projects, reading projects. I mean, I just look at it like if in any way I can help advance their career and they can help advance my group, then it's a win-win situation. So even through the pandemic, we've tried to create some remote internships.
Mhm.
So that's how we've managed to grow, I feel.
Yeah. So, after you have moved to India, any specific challenges you have faced? Like at any moment, you have felt like I should not have done it.
A very, very honest question, huh, Suchibrata? Oh, all the time. All the
Okay.
time. Not, I should not have done it, but I think the feeling is often that, oh my God, have I taken on too much? You know, the
Yeah.
feeling is that. See, it's also a huge personal, professional transition happening at the same time. You're moving
Mhm.
country, you're leaving your existing house, setup, whatever it
Yeah.
is you built that over 10 years, to starting from the house to your work front. It's a new role. See, nobody can train to be a principal investigator till you become one. Even
Yeah.
a postdoc, it's not the real thing, you know. So
Mhm.
many a times you feel, I always joke, it's like the difference between engagement and marriage, you know. Marriage is the real thing.
Yeah.
Engagement is everything is hunky dory. Everything is, you know, I'm doing my best to please you. So
Okay.
postdoc to PI life is like engagement to marriage. So now
Okay.
you're dealing with the real thing. So lots of times
Okay.
I felt it's an enormous task.
Mhm.
But like I said, whenever I feel it's too much to handle, many good things have happened. We've got grants.
Mm.
Like the
Yeah.
IYBA happened the second year. It
Okay.
was, you know, it was a wonderful opportunity.
What is IYBA?
It's the Innovative Young Biotechnologist Award. It's a DBT funded
Okay.
3-year program for
Okay.
early career investigators. It's like the second grant we got after Ramalinga Swamy. So it gave
Oh,
us
wow.
more funding, it gave us more
Yes.
opportunities. We've
Okay.
built international collaborations. So good things have also happened. Many
Mhm.
times I have felt this is too much, but there have always been good things. So that keeps us
Yeah.
going. That's the only
Okay.
way to do it, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll end this conversation with explaining from your side. Like, can you explain in layman terms what you are doing in your lab as a science communicator, for example?
Oh, great. Okay, so I'm put to the test, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Surprise test. This is
Yeah,
surprise
surprise
test
test.
with
Yeah.
no mock test.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you. So, all of you at Science Media Center, have you ever got wounded? Have you ever got bruised? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Most often our wounds heal and we move on with our life. Maybe there's a scar that tells us something happened. But often, if the wounds get infected with
Mm.
bacteria, they may not heal. And the reason they don't heal is because bacteria form these very resistant communities known as biofilms. And that is resistant to antibiotics, is resistant to our immune defense, and so the wounds don't heal. So, biofilms are actually not just in wounds, but you find them in the oral cavity, where they cause destruction of gums and teeth. You find them in the lung, you find them in the gut. So, my lab studies infections such as biofilms in the lab. Now, traditionally, we've looked at these infections in animal models or in very simple laboratory models which don't recap the infection
Okay.
faithfully. So, we are bridging this gap between simple lab models and complex animal models in the lab and saying how can we make lab models for infections more relevant. And we're using these models to better understand such infections. So, for
Okay.
example, some recent work is we've developed a wound fluid in the lab with different proteins and components, and we are studying biofilms in this wound fluid, sort of to mimic a wound infection.
Okay. Okay.
We've also tested some historical medical approaches to look for novel approaches to biofilms in such
Mm.
systems.
Okay. Okay.
So
Mhm.
that is our work. So you can think of us the next time you fall down and you get a wound, you can think of our group and the work we do and say, oh, thank God, I hope you don't get a biofilm.
Next time I get wound, I will think about infection in a chip, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Kaushik. Thank you so much for connecting with us. And I wish you sorry, what should I say?
No, all your good wishes. I know we have your good wishes.
Yeah. Okay, my best wishes to you for a great career ahead, and I wish you more grants
Oh,
from
thank you. Thank you.
from all the funding agencies like DBT, CSI, INSA, all funding. I hope you get it, and also all the best to talk to a scientist.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much about that. Thank you very much. Lovely talking to you all. It's been a great Friday morning. Great Friday morning. Thank you.
Thank you.